Hi, I'm Kate Chesser, a member of Highgate Tennis Club and also newly appointed member of the Middlesex LTA board as the inclusion lead.
And I'm Linda Almond, also a member of Highgate Tennis Club, and I coordinate all the inclusive tennis at Highgate and also the blind tennis sessions for Metro Blind Sport.
Go on.
So Linda, we'd love to hear a little bit of background about how you started playing tennis originally.
Oh, a long time ago now. Our daughter was 6 and she started here at the holiday camps, and there was a notice saying there was a beginner's session on a Friday. So I started there, and quite a few started there, and we carried on to be members of Highgate. So that was probably 27 years ago. A long time.
Fantastic, fantastic. And you've been a member here ever since?
Yes. Yeah.
And so as well as socially, did you play competitively? Or?
I did play in the teams at the lower level, but I've retired gracefully now.
And so when did you get into volunteering? Because obviously you had a young family,
Yeah.
and you were playing tennis, working as well?
Yes, part-time, and then I can't actually remember how, but I ended up on various members of the committee here at various positions, as tennis secretary, then club secretary, then acting club chair, then back to secretary, and then decided to concentrate on the disability side. And then it was all by chance. We went, three of us from here went to see the Blind Tennis Championships at the National Tennis Centre, because we'd never seen blind tennis before, and we'd never been to the National Tennis Centre. I think that was 2010. And then
goodness, it's quite long ago.
And then we made the comment if ever they needed any help over this way. And then next year there was a problem with the roof at the National Tennis Centre, and so they moved the tournament over to Islington. And then I sorted out a lot of volunteers from Highgate who went to help, and then they started regular sessions every Wednesday. And I think probably that's been going 11 years now. And it's grown and grown and grown, because at the time there was only the one tournament, and now there's tournaments everywhere. And we have, I looked it up the other day, we've had 71 players have come to play on the Wednesday sessions. So, and then if they're good enough, they move on to the Friday sessions, which are for people with slightly better sight.
Okay, so
There's 2 sessions. And then, because of that work, Access Sport got in contact and they wanted to work with the tennis club. So we worked with them for 3 years, and they gave us financial support and moral support. And through them, we started the Saturday inclusive sessions every 2 weeks. And now they've grown, and they're 2 sessions every week, which is great.
Fantastic. So what would this entail with when you're actually helping and doing all
Well, for the sessions here, it's now part of our main tennis program, which is great. Whereas before I used to organise it all. Now it's part of the regular coaching, but I still organise the grants and any other things backwards and forwards, and just check it's okay. So we've got an inclusive camp about to start this half term, sponsored by DS Active.
So there's administrative type role.
Yes, and the grant, and I sit on various bodies locally, and just to feed information back and forward. But the blind tennis, I volunteer and actually organise the volunteers, and also we don't have a coach at the moment, so I'm also actually having to coach.
Oh, are you? And how's that?
Difficult, because I'm not a coach, but it seems to be working okay. But if anyone knows a coach, that would be great.
And how many people do you get?
It varies. Before COVID, we were getting about 12 blind players, but now we're averaging about 7 or 8. But over the years, and we get quite a few coming to start there, and then once they're good enough, they move to the Friday sessions where there's no volunteers.
No volunteers.
No, but so you do have to be able to, and also they've got better eyesight, so they can actually pick up the balls. Whereas Wednesday we do a meet and greet at Caledonian Road Tube, and then we walk the players to the courts, and they have 2-hour session, and then we walk them back again. And we really do. I try and get one volunteer for every player, or two if they're a beginner.
Yes.
And when I first started, there was only me and the coach.
Wow.
But now I think I worked out we've had 158 volunteers over the last few years.
Oh, Linda, that's fantastic, because that really, so literally, so the administrative side of things, but the actual physicality, logistics of it, getting the players from the station to the tennis
and I
club.
think that's what people forget, that
Right.
that's really important, that meet and greet. And also, but I try and get, once I know who's coming, the players let me know by Monday,
Right.
and then I try and match the volunteers. So we have a player who's number 3 in the world, and then we also have people who are there just socially.
Yes.
So I need a different volunteer for different players, really.
Because would their needs vary in terms of?
Yes, because in terms we often play in, so I can't return Naki's serve, for example. There is and somebody starting off needs a lot more help, and we normally have 2 of us, one to pick up the balls and one to feed the balls.
Gosh, so actually there's the more volunteers the better in some way.
Yes, and also at the beginning we lay down tactile lines, and we've got 3 courts, so that takes a lot of time. But
Okay.
what we do use, which actually is really good, is Duke of Edinburgh students.
Yes.
So I think we've had 50 over the last few years, and they're a great help because they're young enough to bend down and do the lines
Yes, absolutely.
and pick up the balls.
And pick up the balls, run around after the balls. Yeah.
But it's really nice seeing how they, not very confident when they first start, and by the end, if they're doing bronze, they're there for 3 months, silver 6, and gold a year. And they're really valuable, and they learn a lot, and it's really good because they have to communicate, and so that takes a bit of coordinating and just checking up on them while they're working.
Yes, so they're in their school kids, they're teenagers, aren't they?
They're young, so some of them are interesting to
I
work
can
with.
imagine, yes. So,
But we've got one student now, 6th former. She's not doing Duke of Edinburgh, but she's hoping to do medicine, so she's coming just to get some experience dealing with people. So we've had quite a few other I think our youngest we've ever had is about 5, and then we've had up to 80, age 80 helping.
Oh, fantastic. So it really is, I suppose there's a job for everyone, isn't there?
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't matter if you can't play. My neighbour helps, but she's very good at picking up balls and doing the guiding from the station.
Yes.
So no, it's good.
Oh, fantastic. So that sounds like then, so the Metro Blind Tennis, it's really taken off.
Yes, there's tournaments all over the country, so we had a lot of people from different countries who came to see how the tennis worked, and now they've taken it back. We had one player who used to come from Middlesbrough, a 2-hour journey on the train, get to us, play 2 hours of tennis. I think he had a sneaky pint on the way home, and then 2 hours back.
Fantastic. Well, I suppose if that's not available where you live.
It wasn't then, but I think there are more and more
Good.
up in the north now,
Yes.
so that's varying. And there's so many regional tournaments, so players don't have to travel so far, which is great.
Really good. So as well as this, what's the programme like at Highgate that you?
So Highgate currently at the moment, so the great thing is, as I say, the inclusive sessions on the Saturday, we have 2 of them, one for under 10s, one for 10 and older. We've got wheelchair tennis.
Yes, yes.
And again, it would be great to have more wheelchair players come and play.
Absolutely.
We also, what else do we do? That's it, I think.
Yeah, what?
One.
So tell me a bit more about the inclusion programme at Highgate.
Well, so at the moment we have obviously wheelchair tennis.
Yes.
We have the Saturday, we have 2 sessions the first one's for children under 10 and the other one for over 10. And it's for anybody's welcome, but aimed at anybody with additional needs or a disability.
Okay.
So obviously it's much more relaxed. The coaches, there's a higher ratio. And all the Highgate coaches have done inclusion training now, which is great. They've done a lot of the online courses, but they've also, Mark Bullock came to do a session here the other day. So, and we do have, that also acts as a feeder programme which leads into the mainstream coaching. So we do have quite a few youngsters with disability who do play within the general club programme.
Oh, great. So it's integrated as well.
Yes,
not
yes.
just a standalone.
No, it was standalone when I started it, but now it's part of the general club programme. So Lucy, our director of tennis, it's under her control, which is great. So it means if I fall under a bus, it still carries on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we do, depending on funding, we do some holiday camps as well. So this half term, DS Active have sponsored an inclusive camp. And
Lovely.
Also in the summer we possibly might do one as well, and Highgate Council have just given us some funding to support our work, which is great, because we can provide the courts free of charge, but we do need the coaches to be paid. So
of course, yes, absolutely. So you say they gave us some money. Presumably you've applied for the money.
Yeah, I applied for that. Highgate Council, yes, and sometimes people offer it like access sport, but normally I do look out and I apply for anything relevant. So we did get some funding from the Queen's Jubilee Fund, and again that supported a holiday camp, which was great.
So sometimes I can only imagine this, the amount of time this takes you up of your week. And how long could you spend on it?
It does vary, but it is surprising because there are a lot of queries now because we've got a reasonable reputation. I quite often get other clubs asking for advice, which is great, and dealing with individual players, particularly blind players, might want to know what's available and where to go. So I reckon it can be 20 hours a week.
Oh my word.
But I'm retired, so that's okay. I'm getting to the stage where I don't think I can do any more, but it's a nice problem to have.
Well, it's amazing.
There's a lot of interest, but no, it's great.
Well, I know I've certainly benefited. And I'm sure that especially for kids as well, having somewhere where they can come.
Yeah, I mean that's what makes it really worthwhile. I did do a survey the other day of our parents to see if there was anything why they came here, and also was there anything we needed to change. But they all made such lovely comments, and that's the thing. It's not numbers coming; it's what it means to each individual person. I mean, some of our children come quite a long way because there isn't anything in their area, and it's very moving to hear the responses. But it's equally, it's not just for the children. The parents or carers really value talking to others, and we're lucky enough to be in this green space at Highgate. So I noticed the other day a group of them were going for a walk, and we've obviously got a very good bar here with Thai food, so they often sit and have a drink.
Yes, good.
But the blind players, they're really, I might think, oh, I'm really tired on a Wednesday, and but you get there and they're so inspiring and such a nice group that actually it's a pleasure to help.
Yes, well, I mean, it's truly life-changing, this
exactly.
the volunteer work you do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, which kind of brings me on to the last thing I was going to ask you is, what do you enjoy most? But I think you've possibly just answered that.
Yes, it is. Meeting people and seeing what it means to them, and it's often we don't have to do a lot to help, and blind players in particular are very independent. But just helping with the meet and greet makes such a difference to someone being able to come or not. It's also very good exercise. I put the Fitbit on at one tournament and I did 11 miles and 22,000 steps. And even on a normal Wednesday, I do about 10 to 12,000 steps.
Fantastic.
So there's that benefit too.